There are places deep below the ocean where human eyes were never meant to look. Cold, black pressure hides things not just forgotten, but never meant to be found. Among sunken ships and shifting sands lie shapes that don't belong, sounds that never stop, and lights that seem to breathe. A strange object rests under the Baltic Sea, too perfect to be natural. In the Red Sea, a mountain bleeds into the water like it is alive. These are not stories. They are real, and they are waiting. Tonight, we go beneath the surface to uncover the disturbing and bizarre discoveries found in the ocean. Let's drift in. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. In 2011, something strange was found under the cold waters of the Baltic Sea. It was not a shipwreck or a rock. It was a massive object shaped like a circle, sitting deep beneath the surface, nearly 300 feet down. It looked too perfect to be natural. Some said it looked like a spaceship from a science fiction movie, but it was real, and it was there, resting silently in the dark. This discovery was made by a team of treasure hunters from Sweden called Ocean X. They were searching for sunken ships when their sonar picked up something unusual. The object was about 60 meters wide. Behind it was a long trail on the sea floor, like something had skidded across it before coming to a stop. At first, people thought it might be a secret weapon or a military base. Some even said it looked like the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, but no one could be sure. The team returned with divers and underwater cameras. What they found made the mystery even deeper. The object was made of rock, but not the kind normally found in the area. It was also covered in a strange black powder, like soot. The divers' equipment started to fail when they got close. Cameras stopped working, lights flickered, even satellite phones lost signal. It was as if something did not want to be found. The shape of the object had straight lines and smooth surfaces. Divers said it looked like it had steps or ramps, like something man-made, but experts were divided. Some geologists said it was just a natural rock formation. They believed glaciers had carved it during the Ice Age. But this did not explain the perfect shape, the strange trail, or the electrical problems. Others said it might be an ancient structure built by humans, now buried under the sea. But there is no record of any such civilization in that region. Samples taken from the object showed unusual materials. Some said they were volcanic. Others said they were man-made. But there is no volcanic activity in that part of the Baltic. The area is not known for earthquakes or lava flows. So where did it come from? And how did it get there? Since its discovery, many theories have been suggested. Some think it is a World War II structure that collapsed into the sea. Others believe it is part of an ancient lost city. A few suggest it is a craft that came from somewhere else, something not from Earth. But there is no proof for any of these ideas. To this day, the Baltic Sea Anomaly remains a mystery. Scientists cannot agree on what it is. The object is still there, resting silently on the ocean floor, untouched and unexplained. No one has been able to study it closely again. It sits alone in the dark, waiting, and maybe it is better that way, because sometimes what we find beneath the sea is not ready to be known. The Upsweep Sound. In the vast Pacific Ocean, far from ships and cities, there is a sound that has no face, no origin, and no clear meaning. It is not loud or sharp. It is soft, slow, and steady, and it has been repeating for over 30 years. Scientists call it the Upsweep Sound. It is one of the strangest and most unexplained underwater sounds ever recorded. The upsweep was first heard in 1991. It was picked up by a network of underwater microphones called hydrophones. These were not built to hear natural sounds. They were built by the US Navy during the Cold War to detect enemy submarines. But instead of catching a machine, they caught a mystery. The sound was a long, rising tone. It started low and swept upward, like a signal reaching for something. Then it would stop, and later, it would start again. Not every hour, not every day. sometimes with gaps, but the pattern always returned. The origin of the sound seemed to be somewhere in the south-central Pacific Ocean. The location is near the East Pacific Rise, a large underwater ridge where tectonic plates pull apart. This made scientists think it might be volcanic. Maybe it was magma shifting deep beneath the seafloor, or hot vents releasing gas in bursts. But the upsweep was too regular. Volcanic sounds are wild and random. This was not. It sounded steady, almost planned. Other theories have come and gone. Some believe it might be a massive underwater animal, something that has not yet been discovered. But even the largest whales do not make sounds this consistent or this far-reaching. Others think it could be ice moving underwater, but the location is too far from polar regions. Another idea is that it might be a result of underwater landslides or shifting salt layers. Still, none of these fully explain the sound's pattern, timing, or power. What makes the upsweep even more strange is that it changes with the seasons. It gets louder in spring and autumn, then fades in summer and winter. Scientists have not found a reason for this. The ocean is full of sounds, but very few last this long without a clear cause. And the upsweep is still being recorded. It is weaker now than before, but it has never fully stopped. Some researchers believe the sound could be a kind of echo, not from a single event, but from a deep vibration trapped in the ocean layers. It could be a standing wave, locked in place by temperature, pressure, and the shape of the seafloor. If that is true, it might have started from something long ago. A shift, a collapse, a force that sent a ripple still bouncing today. No one knows for sure. There is no image, no video, no known creature to match it. Just a sound, soft and rising, moving under the waves. The upsweep reminds us that even in the age of satellites and sonar, some parts of Earth still whisper secrets we cannot explain. It is there, always there, echoing through the deep, like the sea itself is remembering something. The iron mountain that bleeds, Red Sea brine pools. What if there is a mountain under the sea that seems to bleed into the water? And what if the ocean around it is so deadly that machines break down just by touching it? Deep beneath the Red Sea, scientists found something no one expected. It is called the Atlantis II Deep, one of the most mysterious brine pools on Earth. A brine pool is a place on the ocean floor where the water is not like the rest of the sea. It is saltier, thicker, heavier, and full of toxic chemicals. The water inside does not mix with the normal ocean. It forms a kind of undersea lake with clear borders and a different behavior. But this one is even stranger. At the center of the Atlantis II, deep is a massive formation, rich in iron. It looks like a mountain, but its surface is soft, almost like it is bleeding rust into the pool around it. These brine pools were discovered in the 1960s when scientists noticed unusual sonar readings from the floor of the Red Sea. The water seemed to vanish in some places. When they sent probes, they found layers of thick, salty water, and inside them, heavy metals like zinc, copper, and mostly iron. The iron leaks from the mountain constantly, staining the water with a deep reddish tint. It looks like blood spreading slowly through the sea. But what makes this place even more strange is that life exists inside it. Most living things cannot survive in brine pools. The water has no oxygen. It is extremely hot, reaching 60 degrees Celsius, and the pressure is intense. But scientists found bacteria living there, clinging to the iron, feeding on sulfur and metals. These are called extremophiles. They do not need sunlight or oxygen. They use chemistry to stay alive. Some experts believe that life on Earth may have started in places like this, where minerals and heat created a recipe for survival. Even machines have trouble working here. Remotely operated vehicles sent to explore often fail. Their cameras shut down. Metal parts corrode quickly. One sub had to be pulled out because it started to fall apart after just a few hours. The iron-rich water is too hostile. Inside the brine, researchers also noticed something else. Strange structures rise from the mountain. Some look like towers or pillars. Others form perfect circles. These might be natural formations from minerals building up over time, but they are too symmetrical, too organized. Some scientists are not sure what they are. The area is difficult to study. It is deep, hot, and dangerous. Only a few missions have reached the site. What we know comes from short visits and damaged samples. There may be other brine pools nearby that are even stranger, but they remain hidden behind layers of salt and pressure. This place is not like the rest of the ocean. It is a silent, isolated world filled with heat, metal, and life that should not exist. And at the heart of it all is a mountain that bleeds. The unopened hatch of the USS Thresher. What could be locked behind a metal door sitting deep under the ocean for more than 60 years? Why has no one opened it, even though it might hold the final words of 129 men? In April 1963, the USS Thresher, one of the most advanced nuclear submarines of its time, sank during a routine deep-diving test off the coast of New England. All 129 people on board were lost. It was the first nuclear submarine disaster in history. The cause of the sinking was later believed to be a mechanical failure. A small pipe joint may have broken, leading to flooding, electrical failure, and a complete loss of power. As the submarine sank deeper, it passed its crush depth. The pressure from the water outside became too great. The submarine collapsed in on itself. Everything happened in seconds. The wreck of the USS Thresher was found over 8,000 feet below the surface. The remains were scattered across a wide area of the ocean floor. Most of the submarine was destroyed by the pressure, but one part was not. Among the wreckage, search teams found a sealed hatch. It was a small compartment near the reactor room. Unlike the rest of the submarine, this hatch remained closed and intact. No one knows exactly what is inside. Some believe it might contain personal items, technical records, or emergency notes written by crew members in their final moments. Others think it may only hold damaged equipment or empty space. But no one can say for certain. The Navy has never opened the hatch. The depth makes it almost impossible to reach. Special equipment would be needed to open it safely. There is also the danger of disturbing nuclear material from the reactor, and there is respect for the dead. The hatch is seen by some as a grave that should not be disturbed. Still, the mystery remains. Why did this one part survive when everything else was crushed? Could it be built stronger or protected by accident? Could it be holding something that explains what really happened in those final minutes? We may never know. The USS Thresher's sinking led to major changes in how submarines are built and tested. The Navy created a new program called SubSafe to make sure every submarine meets strict safety rules. Since then, there has not been another accident like it in the United States fleet. The tragedy taught valuable lessons, but the unopened hatch remains a silent question. It is still there today, at the bottom of the ocean, untouched by light or time. No camera has gone inside. No hand has turned its handle. It sits in complete silence, like a message frozen in pressure. Maybe one day it will be opened. Maybe not. Until then, it is a reminder that the sea does not always give up its secrets. Sometimes it keeps them sealed behind a door that no one dares to open. The vanished harbors of the Sahara Sea. There are ruins buried beneath the Sahara that seem to belong to ports, but there is no sea anywhere near them. Only endless sand, dry winds, and silence. Long ago, the Sahara Desert was not a desert. It was green, filled with grasslands, rivers, and lakes. At the center of this forgotten world was something even more massive, a sea. It was known by names like the Paleo-Sahara Sea or the Megalake Chad. It was an inland body of water so large it stretched across what is now southern Libya, northern Chad, and parts of Niger. For thousands of years, this ancient sea supported life, and maybe even civilizations along its edges. But today, the water is gone, and what remains is a mystery buried in sand. Satellite images have revealed strange shapes across the Sahara. Curved lines like shorelines, broad channels like riverbeds, even patterns that look like docks or harbors. Ground radar has confirmed some of these findings. Under the surface are walls, stone paths, and what appear to be foundations laid out in careful order. Not random, not natural. These are signs of construction, of human design. Some researchers believe these were port cities, harbors once filled with boats, trade centers where people crossed the ancient waters in wooden vessels. But now, they lie under layers of sand, forgotten by time and missed by most history books. The Sahara did not turn into desert overnight. Around 10,000 years ago, the Earth's tilt changed slightly. This small shift changed wind and rain patterns across Africa. Over thousands of years, the lush green Sahara began to dry. Rivers slowed, lakes shrank, and the sea retreated. People who lived there were forced to move. Some may have gone south into what is now the Sahel region. Others may have tried to stay, digging deeper for water and watching as the world they knew disappeared. In 2010, researchers near the Libya-Chad border used ground-penetrating radar to scan an area that had strange shapes on satellite maps. What they found looked like the remains of a port, a circular layout with stone blocks, roads branching out, and signs of water erosion on the stone, but the place is now hundreds of miles from any known lake or river. Other discoveries include large stone anchors, carved with grooves for rope and worn down by water. These anchors are found in areas that have not seen water for thousands of years. No boats remain, but the tools to hold them in place are still there. Local tribes have long spoken of a sea that vanished. Some speak of water beasts, others of villages swallowed by the earth. For many years, scholars dismissed these as stories. But now, with technology revealing more from beneath the sand, those stories may have been memories of real places. Beneath the Sahara lies the past, preserved in silence. And if the ports are real, then there was once a sea where now there is dust. A sea that held cities. A sea that vanished. The Bloop Sound. What kind of creature can make a sound louder than a blue whale, yet remain completely unseen? What if the ocean is hiding something far bigger than we ever imagined? In 1997, researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, recorded a strange underwater sound in the South Pacific Ocean. It was picked up by hydrophones, which are underwater microphones used to study ocean noise. The sound lasted for about 1 minute and had a very distinct pattern. It started low and quickly rose in frequency. It was strong enough to be detected by sensors over 3,000 miles apart. Scientists called it the bloop. At first, no one knew what caused it. The sound was unlike anything they had heard before. It was not from a submarine, an earthquake, or underwater equipment. What made the mystery even stranger was that it resembled the kind of noise made by marine animals. But the bloop was far more powerful than the vocal range of any known sea creature. The largest animal on Earth, the blue whale, makes loud calls that travel hundreds of miles. But even those are not as loud as the bloop. This led some to believe the sound might have come from a massive unknown sea creature, a creature larger than any that has ever been recorded. Speculation grew online and in scientific circles. Some imagined a prehistoric animal still living deep in the ocean. Others suggested a giant squid or a mysterious species from the deep sea trenches. The idea of a huge, hidden life form living in the darkest parts of the ocean captured the public imagination. For years, the bloop remained a puzzle with no clear explanation. In 2012, NOAA scientists gave a more grounded answer. They said the sound most likely came from ice quakes. These are caused when large pieces of ice break off from glaciers in Antarctica and collapse into the sea. When ice cracks and moves under pressure, it can create powerful underwater sounds that mimic biological noises. According to the researchers, the The bloop's signature matched the characteristics of such icequakes. But even this explanation did not satisfy everyone. The sound came from a remote location in the South Pacific, far from most glacial activity. And no one had recorded any large ice break in that exact area during the time. The ocean floor near the source remains poorly mapped. There could be underwater volcanoes or geological structures we still do not understand. Or perhaps the sound really did come from something alive, something hiding in the deep. The bloop has not been heard again in the same way, but its recording still circulates in scientific studies and mystery documentaries. It is a reminder that the ocean is vast and mostly unexplored. We have better maps of the moon than the seafloor. If something unknown is calling from the deep, we might never know its name. The bloop is still out there, echoing quietly in the memory of the ocean, and that silence may be the most unsettling part. Yonaguni Monument. Beneath the quiet waves off the coast of Japan lies something massive, carved, and deeply confusing. It looks like it should not be there, yet it sits clearly in the open sea. The Yonaguni Monument is a huge underwater structure, discovered in 1986 by a diver near Yonaguni Island in southern Japan. The structure lies about 25 meters below the surface and is made of solid rock. It has sharp edges, straight lines, flat surfaces, and step-like terraces that look like stairs leading up the side of a pyramid. It stretches more than 150 meters long and 27 meters tall. Its shape is so regular that it does not look like something made by nature. That is why some people believe it was built by human hands long ago, possibly even before written history began. Geologist Masaki Kimura spent many years studying the monument. He believed that it was part of an ancient city that sank after an earthquake over 2,000 years ago. According to him, there are roads, walls, and even what seems to be a stadium around the main monument. He claimed that some tools and carvings were found nearby, but many scientists disagree. They say the structure was formed naturally over time by waves, erosion, and earthquakes shaping the rock. Sandstone in the region often breaks into straight lines and rectangular blocks, so the monument's shape could be a coincidence. This disagreement has made the Yonaguni Monument one of the most debated underwater discoveries in modern history. If it is man-made, it changes what we know about ancient people in that area. It would mean a complex civilization existed near Japan over 10,000 years ago, far earlier than any known Japanese society. That would place it during the last ice age, a time when much of the Earth's water was frozen and sea levels were lower. Land that is now underwater might have once been dry, but no solid proof of a city, culture, or people has been found near the site. No writings, no statues, no pottery, only the rock itself. Divers who visit the monument describe a strange feeling. The structure rises from the seabed like a forgotten temple. The lines are too perfect, the walls are too smooth. There are flat platforms, narrow pathways, and what looks like a central stair. Some even say they have seen markings on the rock, but without clear evidence, science cannot confirm that people built it. The mystery remains open. The sea continues to cover its secrets. Was this place carved by wind, water, and time? Or is it a ruin from a forgotten chapter of human history now lost beneath the waves? The Yonaguni Monument does not answer. It only waits in silence, shaped like a riddle no one has solved. SS Ourang Medan, the ghost ship. What could cause an entire ship's crew to die with eyes wide open and arms reaching towards something unseen? Why did the ship send a final message that still terrifies people today? In the late 1940s, a strange and terrifying story began to circulate among sailors in the Strait of Malacca, a busy stretch of water between Malaysia and Indonesia. It was about a ship called the SS Ourang Medan. The name means man from Medan in Indonesian. The ship was not on any official registry, and its origin remains unclear. But what happened to it has become one of the ocean's most haunting unsolved mysteries. According to reports, several ships in the area received a distress call from the Ourang Medan. The message was short and chilling. It said that all officers, including the captain, were dead. The crew were also dead or dying. The last part of the message read, "I die." After that, there was silence. One American ship, the Silver Star, responded and traced the signal. They found the Ourang Medan drifting in the water with no signs of damage. But when the crew of the Silver Star boarded the ship, they were met with a horrifying sight. The entire crew of the Ourang Medan was dead. Bodies lay scattered across the decks. Their faces were frozen in terror. Their mouths were open. Their eyes stared wide. Some had arms stretched out like they were trying to fight something off. There were no injuries, no signs of violence. Even the ship's dog was found dead, snarling at something invisible. The Silver Star crew decided to tow the ship back to port, but shortly after, smoke began rising from the lower decks. Moments later, the SS Ourang Medan exploded. The ship was destroyed and sank quickly. Nothing was recovered. The mystery went down with it. Many theories have been suggested to explain what happened. One theory says the ship was secretly carrying dangerous chemicals like potassium cyanide or nitroglycerin. A small leak could have poisoned the crew and caused the explosion. Another theory is that the ship was part of a smuggling operation involving deadly nerve gas left over from World War II. Some have even suggested supernatural causes, including ghosts or sea spirits. The truth remains hidden. No official records of the SS Ourang Medan have ever been confirmed. Its name does not appear in shipping registries. The exact year of the event is debated, with some sources claiming 1940, others 1947, or 1948. The location of the wreck is also unknown. This has led some people to believe the story is just a maritime legend, but many sailors and old sea reports insist it was real. If the Ourang Medan did exist, then something very strange happened on board, something that left experienced sailors dead with fear on their faces and nothing else to explain why. The ocean is a place of many secrets, and some ships do not just disappear. They leave behind a question that may never be answered. The black hole of Andros Island. In the middle of the clear blue waters near Andros Island in the Bahamas, there's a hole so dark and deep it almost seems alive. Local fishermen avoid it. Divers speak of strange feelings when they approach it. It is known as the Black Hole of Andros. The black hole is a type of blue hole, which is a large underwater sinkhole. These holes form when the roof of a cave collapses and the sea floods in. Most blue holes are beautiful and peaceful, but the one near Andros is different. It is nearly perfectly round, with steep sides that fall deep into the earth. The water inside is dark, almost black, and it does not behave like the water around it. There are no waves on the surface. No fish swim near it. The temperature and chemistry of the water inside the hole change with depth in a strange way. At certain layers, the water becomes toxic. Some divers have described it as entering another world. Scientists have studied this place for years. One of the strangest things about the black hole is that it contains layers of deadly gas. Around 60 feet down, a thick layer of hydrogen sulfide forms a kind of underwater fog. This gas is poisonous to most life forms. It smells like rotten eggs and can damage diving gear. Below this layer, the water has no oxygen at all. It is completely anoxic. In this dark zone, life becomes rare and strange. Only a few types of bacteria can survive. These bacteria feed on sulfur and do not need sunlight or oxygen. Some researchers believe that studying these bacteria could help us understand how life began on Earth, or even how it might exist on other planets. The exact depth of the black hole of Andros is still debated. Some say it goes down more than 300 feet. Others believe there are caves and tunnels at the bottom that stretch even farther. Few divers go that deep because it is extremely dangerous. The toxic gases, the pressure, and the strange water chemistry create a perfect trap for anyone unprepared. Local legends add to the mystery. People say that the hole is cursed, that boats that drift over it go silent, that strange lights have been seen below the surface at night. Some stories speak of sea creatures that live at the bottom, never seen by humans. There is no proof of these tales, but they have lasted for generations. The black hole of Andros Island is a place where science and fear live side by side. It is a natural formation, yet it feels like something more. A wound in the ocean, a gate into the unknown. The more we study it, the more questions it creates. It sits in the water, silent and waiting. A reminder that even in a world we think we understand, there are still places that remain untouched, unexplained, and deeply unsettling. Atlantis of the sands, Ubar, beneath the Gulf. Could a wealthy city once ruled by powerful kings vanish into the earth overnight? And could that lost city still be hiding under the sands of the Arabian desert or even beneath the sea? For centuries, people in the Middle East told stories of a city called Ubar. It was said to be a place of riches, with tall towers and strong walls. Ubar traded in frankincense, a valuable resin once used in ancient temples and royal palaces. The city was powerful, proud, and filled with gold and wealth. But one day, it disappeared. Some said it was buried by a sandstorm. Others said it was punished by God for its pride. Because of this mystery, Ubar became known as the Atlantis of the sands. The story of Ubar appears in old Islamic texts. In the Quran, a people called the Fad lived in a city called Iram. They were known for their strength, but also for ignoring warnings from a prophet named Hud. Because of their arrogance, they were destroyed. Historians believed this tale was more legend than fact. No one had ever found real evidence of Ubar. It became a myth passed from one generation to the next. But in the early 1990s, something changed. A NASA satellite took images of the desert in Oman and Yemen. Scientists saw faint lines in the sand. These were not natural formations. They were ancient caravan routes, paths used by traders thousands of years ago. Many of these paths led to a single location deep in the desert. A team of researchers, including explorer Nicholas Clapp and archaeologist Jura Zarins, followed the data and went to the site. What they found stunned them. Beneath the sand were the ruins of a large settlement. The area had collapsed into a limestone cave, forming a sinkhole. Around the edge were remains of walls, towers, and buildings. It matched descriptions of Ubar in the old stories. Some scholars now believe this was indeed the city of Ubar. It had likely been a major trade center for frankincense and collapsed due to overuse of its underground water systems. The weight of the city caused the ground to fall in. Over time, sandstorms buried the remains. What was once a wealthy city became a forgotten pit in the desert. But the mystery does not end there. Other theories suggest Ubar might have stretched farther. Some believe ruins of Ubar may even lie beneath the Persian Gulf. As sea levels rose after the last ice age, many ancient coastal settlements were drowned. Recent underwater surveys have found unusual shapes on the seafloor near the Arabian Peninsula. These could be natural, or they could be lost structures. No one can say for certain. Was Ubar a single city, or a network of settlements across land and sea? Is the story in the Quran based on real events, or a warning told through myth? The answers remain buried in sand and salt water, but the mystery of Ubar still lingers, like the wind that moves through the empty desert. Lake Vostok Subglacial Object. Hidden under more than 2 miles of Antarctic ice is a lake that has never seen sunlight. Its surface has been frozen for over 20 million years. Yet deep beneath this ancient ice, something unexpected was found. A massive object, magnetic, solid, and unexplained. Lake Vostok is one of the largest subglacial lakes in the world. It lies beneath the Russian Vostok Station in East Antarctica. The lake itself is about 250 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide. Scientists believe it has been sealed off from the surface for millions of years. This means any life inside it could be completely isolated from the rest of the planet. The discovery of the lake began with satellite radar scans in the 1970s, but it wasn't until the 1990s that its full size was understood. Then, in the early 2000s, something strange appeared on the scans. Near the southern tip of the lake, a solid object was detected. It measured several kilometers across and gave off a magnetic signal much stronger than anything nearby. Scientists began to wonder what this object could be. Some suggested it was a natural rock formation with a high concentration of metal. Others believed it might be a meteorite that had struck the Earth long ago and was buried by ice over time. But no known meteorite matches its size or the shape shown on radar. What made the mystery deeper was that the object seemed to be symmetrical. It had smooth curves, sharp edges, and a central core. It did not look like a simple rock. Some researchers compared its magnetic signature to that of artificial structures. Over the years, theories have grown more complex. A few believe it could be a piece of ancient human technology from a lost civilization. Others have suggested it might be something not from Earth at all, but these ideas are not supported by direct evidence. No one has reached the object. Drilling into Lake Vostok has been slow and difficult. In 2012, Russian scientists finally broke through the ice and reached the lake water. They took samples and found signs of tiny life forms, but they did not reach the object. The lake is a dangerous place to study. The pressure is extreme, the temperatures are freezing, and the risk of contamination is high. Scientists worry that introducing surface bacteria could destroy the ancient ecosystem inside. That is why further drilling is closely monitored. So for now, the object remains untouched, buried in darkness. It gives off its signal, quietly pulsing under the ice, its purpose and origin unknown. Lake Vostok may hold the key to understanding life in extreme conditions. Or it may be hiding something far older and stranger than we expect. Whatever rests beneath that frozen sheet, it has been there for millions of years, watching, waiting, and still completely silent. The Skeleton Lake of Roopkund. How did hundreds of human skeletons end up beside a frozen lake high in the Himalayas? Why do their bones show signs of sudden, violent death, but no signs of battle? In the Indian state of Uttarakhand, hidden among the snow-covered mountains, lies a small glacial lake called Roopkund. It sits more than 16,000 feet above sea level. For most of the year, it remains frozen, surrounded by steep cliffs and icy winds. But when the ice melts in summer, something shocking appears. Human bones, skulls, rib cages, hundreds of them, all scattered around the edges of the lake. This place is now known as Skeleton Lake. The first report of the bones came in 1942. A British forest ranger stumbled upon them during a patrol. At first, people thought the remains were from Japanese soldiers who had tried to sneak through the mountains during World War II, but there were no weapons, no uniforms, and the bones looked very old. This led to a mystery that still has not been fully solved. Over the years, scientists began to study the bones. At first, they thought the skeletons belonged to a single group that died together in a natural disaster. But new DNA testing in 2019 changed everything. Researchers discovered that the bones came from different people at different times. Some died around 800 AD, others as late as the 1800s. Even more surprising, some of the skeletons had DNA not linked to nearby Indian populations, but to people from the eastern Mediterranean, possibly Greece or Crete. What were people from so far away doing in the Himalayas? The mystery deepened when scientists studied the skulls more closely. Many had deep, round cracks. These were not caused by war or falling rocks. They were caused by blunt force from above. The injuries matched the kind of trauma that would happen if someone were struck by hailstones the size of baseballs. This led to a chilling theory. Around 800 AD, a group of travelers was caught in a sudden storm. There was no shelter. nowhere to hide. The hail rained down with deadly force, striking people on the head and killing them instantly. The lake became a mass grave, untouched for centuries. Later, other groups may have come across the same trail and met the same fate. That could explain the mix of bones from different centuries. Religious pilgrims, traders, or explorers may have followed old mountain paths and fallen victim to sudden deadly weather. But even this theory does not answer everything. Why were people from faraway lands like the Mediterranean traveling through this remote part of India? No records explain their journey. No artifacts tell us what they were carrying or what they hoped to find. The paths to Roopkund are steep, dangerous, and isolated even today. The skeleton lake of Roopkund is a mystery frozen in time. Every summer, as the ice melts, the past rises to the surface. The bones do not speak, but they remind us how much we still do not know. In the silence of the mountains, they wait, offering no answers, only questions. The Baltic Sea's ship graveyard. There is a part of the sea where time has stopped, where wooden ships centuries old still lie with their sails, ropes, and tools almost untouched. This is not a fantasy. It is a real place hidden beneath the cold waters of the Baltic Sea, and it holds one of the largest and most mysterious collections of shipwrecks in the world. The Baltic Sea is unique. Its waters are cold, dark, and low in salt. Unlike other oceans, the Baltic does not have shipworms that normally destroy wood. Because of this, ships that sink in the Baltic often remain preserved for hundreds of years. Some still have barrels, weapons, and even shoes lying quietly inside. This unusual preservation has turned the seabed into a kind of underwater museum. But many of these wrecks have no names, no records, no clear reasons for their final journey. One of the most famous discoveries came in 2003. A team of marine archaeologists found a nearly perfect 17th century warship. It sat upright on the sea floor, its cannons still in place. The ship was unknown. No documents matched its design. No one knew who it belonged to or why it sank. Another wreck was found in 2019. This one believed to be over 500 years old. Its wooden structure was still strong. The masts were broken, but the body of the ship was whole. Inside were sealed containers and tools from the time of Columbus. But there were no clues about its crew or its purpose. Many believe the Baltic ship graveyard is a result of centuries of war and trade. The waters between Sweden, Finland, and the Baltic states have long been fought over. Ships carrying soldiers, treasure, or supplies often sank during storms or battles. But others might have been lost in silence, taken by weather or mistake, never reported or remembered. Some may have sunk due to ice. In winter, the sea freezes in places. Wooden ships could become trapped, broken apart by the pressure. There are over 100 known wrecks in the graveyard and possibly thousands more waiting to be found. Some are only a few hundred years old. Others are believed to be medieval or even Viking in origin. Each one is a mystery frozen in time. Even modern scanning technology cannot easily map the entire floor of the Baltic. The sea hides its dead well. Scientists and divers continue to explore this underwater cemetery. Some hope to recover the history of forgotten nations. Others fear that touching the wrecks might disturb what the sea has chosen to keep. Because each ship is more than wood and nails. It is a story cut off without an ending. A question sealed in salt and silence. The Baltic Sea's ship graveyard reminds us that not everything lost is gone. Beneath the waves, the past still floats, silent, waiting, untouched by time, and perhaps it is best left that way. The Gulf of Mexico brine pools. What if there were lakes at the bottom of the ocean? What if touching their surface could kill even the strongest sea creatures in seconds? In the deep waters of the Gulf of Mexico, scientists have found strange underwater lakes called brine pools. These are not regular parts of the ocean. They look like lakes inside the sea. Their edges are clearly visible, their surfaces ripple like water in a pond, but they are not safe. These pools are made of super salty water that is heavier than normal seawater. Because of this, the brine sinks and forms a separate layer on the sea floor. Inside these pools, there is no oxygen. There is a high level of toxic chemicals like hydrogen sulfide and methane. Any fish or animal that enters cannot survive. They become trapped and die. The discovery of these pools began in the late 1980s and early 1990s. While exploring deep-sea oil reserves, researchers noticed odd shapes and colors on sonar scans. Submersibles sent to investigate captured images of round, calm pools surrounded by dead crabs and fish. It was as if these creatures had been drawn in and could not escape. These pools are sometimes called jacuzzis of despair because they appear peaceful but are extremely dangerous. Brine pools are formed by salt deposits buried deep under the ocean floor. Millions of years ago, much of the Gulf of Mexico was a shallow sea. As the water evaporated, thick layers of salt were left behind. Over time, these layers were buried under mud and rock. In some places, cracks allow the salty fluids to seep up. The salt mixes with water and settles at the bottom, forming a brine pool. Because it is much denser, it does not mix with the regular ocean water. This creates a sharp boundary, known as a halocline. Crossing that line means entering a world with no oxygen, no light, and high pressure. Even in these extreme conditions, life finds a way. Scientists have discovered colonies of bacteria living around the edges of the pools. These microbes feed on methane and sulfur. Some tube worms and mussels have also adapted to survive by hosting bacteria inside their bodies. These tiny ecosystems rely on chemosynthesis, a process that uses chemicals instead of sunlight to create energy. This is similar to how life might survive on other planets with no light. The brine pools of the Gulf remain difficult to study. Their toxic nature damages equipment. Remote vehicles often fail. Human divers cannot go that deep. Most research is done using robotic tools. Some pools are as large as football fields. Others are small and hidden. Many are still waiting to be found. These pools raise big questions. Could similar places exist in other oceans? Did life on Earth begin in places like these? Could they be a model for life on alien worlds? For now, they sit quietly on the seafloor. Still, silent, deadly, waiting beneath the waves. The Mariana Trench roar. What could be making a sound deep in the ocean that no creature or machine is known to produce? Why does it come from the darkest, deepest place on Earth where nothing should be loud at all? In 2016, scientists recorded a strange underwater noise that came from somewhere inside the Mariana Trench. This trench is the deepest natural place on our planet. It reaches almost 11,000 meters down into the Pacific Ocean. That is deeper than Mount Everest is tall. The sound was captured by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA. They were using underwater microphones called hydrophones to listen to marine life and seismic activity. But what they heard surprised them. The sound did not match anything they had recorded before. The mysterious noise was named the Western Pacific Baychimo. It lasted about 3 seconds. It started with a low moan and ended with a high metallic whistle. It was not like a whale song, a submarine, or an earthquake. It echoed in a way that made it difficult to tell exactly where it came from. But the strongest signals pointed toward the Mariana Trench. Some scientists suggested it could be a new type of whale call. Whales are known to make strange sounds, and the humpback whale in particular can produce very wide frequency ranges. But the problem was that this new sound did not follow the patterns of any known whale call. It was too short and too mechanical in tone. No known animal has ever produced a sound quite like this. Other experts thought it might be caused by underwater volcanic activity or tectonic plate movement. But again, the sound did not fit the typical signature of a volcanic tremor or earth movement. It had rhythm, structure, and tone shifts. Those things do not normally happen in natural geological activity. Some people even began to suggest less scientific ideas. Could it be a man-made machine operating in secret? Could it be something from the deep ocean that we have never seen or studied? The ocean floor is one of the least explored places on Earth. It is dark, cold, and full of pressure. Most of it has never been mapped or touched. In that kind of environment, strange things are still possible. The mystery remains. The sound has not been recorded again since 2016. NOAA researchers still do not have a full answer. No new animal has been linked to the noise. No new equipment has been found near the site. Just one recording. One moment of sound from the deepest place on Earth. What made the Mariana Trench roar is still unknown. Maybe it was a new species calling in the dark. Maybe it was the Earth groaning deep beneath the sea. Or maybe it was something else. Something we are not ready to understand. And whatever it was, it has not spoken again. Not yet. SS Baychimo, the Arctic ghost ship. In the icy waters of the Arctic, a ship once sailed without a crew for nearly 40 years. People saw it drifting through fog, trapped in ice, and disappearing into snowstorms. It was called the SS Baychimo, and no one knows where it finally came to rest. The SS Baychimo was a steel cargo ship built in 1914 in Sweden. It was first used by a German company, but after World War I, it was given to Britain as part of war reparations. In the 1920s, it was bought by the Hudson's Bay Company, a large Canadian trading group. The ship was used to carry fur and supplies between trading posts in the Arctic, where harsh weather and sea ice made travel dangerous. In October 1931, the Baychimo became trapped in early sea ice near the town of Barrow, Alaska. The crew abandoned the ship and moved to shore, building a small camp nearby. A few days later, a sudden storm hit. When the storm ended, the ship had vanished. The crew thought it had sunk, but a few days later, a hunter reported seeing it drifting about 50 kilometers away. The crew chased it down and found it still floating. They took some cargo and gave up on recovering the ship. They assumed it would not survive the winter, but the Baychimo did not sink. Over the next 40 years, people across the Arctic continued to report sightings of the ship. It was seen drifting through icy waters, stuck in frozen bays, and even grounded on small islands. In 1939, a group of Inuit hunters boarded the ship and took shelter inside during a storm. When the storm passed, the ship had broken free and floated away again. Each time someone tried to approach or tow the ship, the weather changed or the ice shifted, and the Baychimo slipped away. The ship was last officially seen in 1969, almost 40 years after it was abandoned. A group flying over the Beaufort Sea spotted a rusting vessel trapped in ice that matched the description. But when people went to investigate, the ship had moved again. Since then, there have been no confirmed sightings. Some believe it finally sank beneath the ice. Others think it is still drifting somewhere in the remote Arctic, hidden by fog and snow. The Baychimo became known as the Arctic Ghost Ship. It inspired stories of haunted machinery and cursed voyages. But in truth, the story is a strange lesson in survival. The ship was not powered by spirits. It was a well-built steel freighter that managed to float for decades in one of the most dangerous places on Earth. No one planned for it to become a legend, but it did because it refused to go quietly. Now, the Arctic is melting faster than ever. If the Baychimo is still out there, it might soon be revealed. Or maybe it is already sunk, resting in cold silence, carrying the last memories of a forgotten age across the sea. Underwater Stonehenge, Lake Michigan. Could a circle of ancient stones lie hidden beneath the waves of a quiet American lake? And why would one of those stones have a carving of a long-extinct animal? In 2007, scientists using sonar to scan the bottom of Lake Michigan made a strange discovery. While searching for shipwrecks, they found something completely unexpected. Near the lake's Grand Traverse Bay, they detected a group of large stones, arranged in a circular pattern about 40 feet underwater. One of these stones appeared to show a carving of a mastodon, an animal that went extinct around 10,000 years ago. This discovery quickly drew comparisons to Stonehenge, the prehistoric monument in England. It became known as the underwater Stonehenge of Lake Michigan. The structure lies in a part of the lake that was once dry land during the last ice age. Back then, large parts of North America were covered in ice. As the glaciers melted, water filled the land and created the Great Lakes. If the stones were placed when the land was still dry, then they might be more than 10,000 years old. This would make them far older than most known Native American structures, but the mystery lies in how and why they were arranged. Stone circles are usually found in ancient cultures as markers for burial, ceremony, or astronomical purposes. Stonehenge in England is famous for lining up with the movements of the sun. But the Lake Michigan stones are still underwater and difficult to study. The conditions at the bottom of the lake make it hard to get clear images. Sediment and algae cover much of the surface. Divers have visited, but visibility is low, and research is slow. The most debated part of the discovery is the carving. Some believe the lines on the stone show a mastodon, a prehistoric elephant-like creature that once roamed North America. If true, it would be proof that ancient humans in the area had both the tools and the skills to create art. But others argue that the marks are natural or formed by erosion. There is no agreement among experts, and because the stones remain underwater, it is hard to confirm anything with certainty. The area around Lake Michigan has long been important to native tribes. Some elders speak of sacred places beneath the waters and stories of animals that no longer walk the earth. While these may seem like legends, the discovery of the stone circle gives these stories a deeper meaning. Perhaps the land remembers more than we do. No full excavation has taken place. There is not enough funding, and the lake guards its secrets well. For now, the underwater Stonehenge of Lake Michigan remains mostly untouched. It could be an ancient calendar, a forgotten burial site, or simply a natural formation. But it raises a quiet and haunting question. What else lies hidden in the deep places we stopped looking at long ago? The deep sea, gigantic jellyfish. In the deepest layers of the ocean, there is a creature so large and so silent that almost nothing is known about it. It glows in the darkness and drifts like a ghost through the cold water. This is the deep sea gigantic jellyfish. One of the most mysterious of these jellyfish is called Stygiomedusa gigantea. It was first discovered over a century ago, but it has only been seen alive a handful of times. Most of what we know comes from rare footage captured by deep-sea robots. These sightings usually happen thousands of meters below the surface, where sunlight never reaches. In that world of total blackness, the jellyfish appears like a living shadow with glowing red arms. Stygiomedusa gigantea can grow to nearly 10 feet across, with ribbon-like arms that stretch over 30 feet long. But it does not have stinging tentacles like many other jellyfish. Instead, it has 4 long, flat arms that scientists believe it uses to trap prey in the water. These arms move slowly, creating currents that guide smaller animals into its body. No one has ever seen it eat. No one knows exactly how it reproduces. There are no records of it in shallow waters. It seems to live its whole life in the darkness, untouched by human activity. This jellyfish was first described in 1910. Since then, only about 100 confirmed encounters have been recorded. Most of them happened while scientists were using remotely operated vehicles to explore deep-sea environments. In those rare moments, the jellyfish moved with slow grace, its body pulsing gently as it floated through the water like a curtain of flesh. The glow it gives off is not strong, but it is enough to stand out in the Black Sea. It looks otherworldly, almost like a creature from a dream. Some researchers believe that jellyfish like this one could be among the most widespread large animals on the planet. But because they live so deep, we almost never see them. They may outnumber whales. They may have lived for millions of years without changing, but they remain nearly invisible. The deep sea is full of strange animals. Some have lights on their heads. Others have see-through skin. The environment is cold, dark, and high in pressure. Only specially adapted creatures survive there. The gigantic jellyfish is one of the most impressive examples. It does not swim fast. It does not fight. It simply drifts, surviving in a way we do not yet understand. What makes this creature so haunting is its silence. It does not make noise. It does not leave a trace. And yet it lives in the same world we do, far below our ships, gliding slowly through the Black Sea like a forgotten spirit. Its size, its glow, its mystery all remain unexplained. And for now, it floats alone in the dark, as if it remembers something the surface has long forgotten. Milky Sea Phenomenon. At night, far out in the open ocean, entire patches of water begin to glow, not in flashes or flickers, but in a steady, glowing white light that stretches for miles. It looks like the sea has turned into a sheet of milk. This strange event is called the Milky Sea Phenomenon. It has been reported by sailors for hundreds of years, but only recently have scientists begun to understand that these glowing seas are real. They are not stories or tricks of the eye. The glow can cover areas bigger than cities and last for hours or even days. It is one of the rarest and most mysterious light events found in nature. The first modern study of the Milky Sea began in 2005. Scientists at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory used satellite data to confirm the glow. One recorded event covered over 16,000 square kilometers in the Indian Ocean. That is larger than the island of Jamaica. It stayed visible for 3 nights in a row. The light was so strong that it could be seen from space. The cause of this glow is a special type of bacteria. These bacteria live on the surface of algae in the water. When disturbed, they produce a light called bioluminescence. But unlike the usual quick spark seen in glowing jellyfish or fireflies, these bacteria glow continuously. The reason is not fully understood. Some scientists believe it is a form of communication. Others think it may help attract fish, which then help the bacteria move through the ocean. What makes the Milky Sea phenomenon so strange is how large and stable it is. Most bioluminescent events are small and short, but the Milky Sea seems to glow all at once, calmly and without stop. No storms, no boat engines, just a wide, silent glow. Despite satellite images and a few scientific missions, the phenomenon remains hard to study. The events mostly happen in remote parts of the Indian Ocean or near Indonesia. Few ships are in the area when it happens, and even fewer have the equipment needed to take samples. Some scientists hope that future deep-sea missions or improved satellites will help solve the mystery. For now, the Milky Sea remains one of the ocean's quietest wonders. A slow, glowing breath of bacteria across thousands of square kilometers, seen rarely, studied little, never fully explained. It reminds us that even in the age of satellites and science, the ocean can still create scenes that feel like dreams, or like warnings. Because when the sea turns white in the middle of the night, and everything around you begins to glow without sound, it does not feel like nature. It feels like something else is watching. The sunken pyramid of Yonaguni. Sharp corners do not usually appear in nature. And yet, off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan, there is something underwater, with edges too straight to ignore. The sunken pyramid of Yonaguni was discovered in 1986 by a diver named Kihachiro Aratake. He was exploring the waters off the southern tip of the island when he found a massive stone structure beneath the waves. It looked like a staircase or a stepped temple, made of giant rock slabs that seemed cut and placed with care. At first, it was thought to be a natural formation, but soon debate began. The monument is about 150 meters long and rises 27 meters from the seafloor. It has sharp steps, smooth platforms, flat walls, and what looks like a path leading to its base. Geologist Masaaki Kimura studied the site for years. He believed it was man-made and called it Japan's Atlantis. He pointed to nearby stone tools, carvings, and what might be walls or roads. He said it could be the remains of a city from over 10,000 years ago. If true, this would rewrite history. That would mean an advanced society existed in Japan long before known civilizations like Mesopotamia or Egypt, but not everyone agrees. Other scientists say the pyramid is a natural formation. They argue that the stone is sandstone, which can break into straight lines when cracked by earthquakes. The region is known for tectonic activity. Over time, the sea and pressure could have shaped the stone into the sharp forms seen today. So far, no confirmed artifacts, writing, or remains of people have been found at the site. That makes it hard to prove that it was built. Still, many divers who visit say it does not feel like nature. The stairs look too even, the angles too clean, the shapes too familiar. Some say it looks like a ziggurat. Others say it resembles ancient tombs. The water around Yonaguni is clear, but strong currents make diving dangerous. Few research teams have had the time or safety to explore it fully. Some people have suggested lifting parts of the structure or scanning it with high technology, but funding and access remain a problem. Until then, the Yonaguni Pyramid lies undisturbed at the bottom of the sea. Was it once a place of worship, a palace, or just a strange piece of earth cracked by time? No one knows. But it waits there quietly, surrounded by fish and shifting sands. It is a shape too sharp to be ignored, and yet too lost to be understood.